Hey everyone, Bob here. So I had a debate with myself over what would be my second Titanic video that I was going to do for the observance of the ship sinking, the anniversary of the ship sinking, and I eventually settled upon doing the LP of the soundtrack of the James Cameron film from '97, and I chose to do this because it's a huge soundtrack in terms of what it meant. In 1998, it was actually the highest selling album of the year in the United States, and that's a bit unusual. There are other films that have done it. The Greatest Showman did it, and so did Saturday Night Fever and Mary Poppins, are the ones that come to mind off the top of my head. In the comments below, if there's any I missed, feel free to point them out. But this is the LP. This is not the CD. I have this LP, and I was going to... I knew the LP for this is a little more on the rare side, so I thought I would go through and show you guys what this is and give you my thoughts on the score. If you haven't ever had an At the Movies score before, it comes in a very nice plastic sleeve that you can fold open and slide out, and it says At the Movies here in the corner. Here is the front cover. I think it's safe to say that everyone is pretty much familiar with this image. It is pretty much the one sheet from '97, you know, Jack and Rose hugging above the bow of the ship. Open up the gatefold. Get several scenes from the movie. You got Jack shortly before he does the King of the World bit, ticket, a copy of a distress signal, or distress call, excuse me, I'll say it right here in a minute, image from one of the sinking scenes. Then on the back, this is actually what was used as the poster for the 2012 3D re-release, and by extension the cover of the soundtrack re-release in 2012. Side 1, side 2, I mean, this track listing is exactly the same as it is on the CD. Unlike some soundtracks, as I've pointed out in some previous Voice of the Movies episodes, that the order has changed to be able to fit more on a side. I'm just going to slide one of these out. The albums themselves are just on black vinyl, and it's just a simple center sticker that 33 1/3 RPM, and gives the track listing for the side. Back side of that one shows Jack and Rose during the I'm Flying sequence. And these were what the pressing company provided us, these nice archival anti-static sleeves. So I lied. I decided to slide the other LP out so you could see the picture on the back side of it. It is Jack and Rose shortly after he draws Rose. Next we have this print that is of the New York Times newspaper from Tuesday, April the 16th, 1912. And here's the booklet that came with it. Cover again is shortly after Jack draws Rose. There's a track listing on that side. There he kisses her hand when she comes down the grand staircase. Some stills from the film. A note from James Cameron. This is basically the same credits that appear on the CD. Thank you from James Horner. That's the extent of the booklet. This poster is also included. Well, guys, as everyone probably knows, Titanic was scored by James Horner. And everyone who is as old as I am probably knows music from this film when they hear it, whether it's the rousing, adventurous sounding Southampton theme or the sad Hymn to the Sea. It's sad in that it is very hauntingly beautiful, and the way the vocals were, it's mournful, and it's does a great job of conveying the emotion of the tragedy. But there's also other happier moments, like I said, like Southampton, like Leaving Port, Take Her to See Mr. Murdoch. Those three in particular come to mind immediately when you're looking for more upbeat, fun moments of the film, because and if you're watching the movie on Blu-ray, the part that's the Take Her to See Mr. Murdoch part, which I guarantee if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That scene's actually called Ode to Titanic, and it is paying homage, if you will, to the Titanic's grandeur and its splendor and the accomplishment that it was. Now, if you're an actual historian of the ship, you know that Titanic wasn't actually looked at that much because it was the second ship in the Olympic class. The Olympic got all the press because it was the first ship, and Titanic was the middle ship because there was eventually going to be a third one, and there was. The Britannic, which actually ended up being a hospital ship, but that's a story for another time. But Titanic was basically the middle ship, and it didn't get any of the press, and a lot of the hype had died down since Olympic had left a year earlier in June of 1911 was its maiden voyage. And while there were differences, there were definitely differences between those two ships. More or less, if you weren't familiar with them, you probably couldn't tell the two apart just by seeing them. And the Titanic only got all this press in retrospect after it sank, and after that's why it's the one that's remembered. If it had never sank, you would not be reading in the history books about how it was, got all this attention stuff. The attention in all these articles about things being practically unsinkable, that was applied to the Olympic class as a whole, not just specifically Titanic. In fact, most of the pictures that you see if you're looking in a history book of the interior of the ship are actually Olympic. Very few pictures actually exist of the interior of Titanic. But anyway, I got off on a side tangent. I could talk about all that other stuff ad nauseum. That's not why you're here. You want to know my thoughts of the soundtrack. I apologize for the tangent there. But the music, what more can I say? The music, when you hear it, you instantly know it's Titanic. And at the same time, the music elevated that film. Whether you're talking about themes like Rose, which are basically the love theme of the song, love theme of the movie, or the mournful Hymn to the Sea moments, or the impending danger-filled elements, like from Death of Titanic and the sinking and that sort of thing. They elevated the movie. To me, this music in this film adds just as much to this movie as any John Williams score adds any music to his. There are some movies you could kind of get away with having different music or any music, when this is not one of them. This one, James Horner nailed it. It struck a chord. That's why it was one of the reasons why it was the best-selling album of the year. The Celine Dion song back in '98 you couldn't get away from it. And a lot of people hear it and instantly know it. I happen to know of some funerals that actually use that song that year or shortly thereafter. And to me, it's just a testament to how big and how much of a force not only the movie but the soundtrack of this movie was, because I feel like the soundtrack really drove home the emotional impact of this film. So that's all I've got for this video. I'm going to give this soundtrack, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, an A+, because to me it elevates the film. It has staying power. The music is just as beautiful today as it was then, and this is a soundtrack that I listen to fairly regularly. I know there's a lot of people that don't like it, but these are my thoughts on this soundtrack. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I may do another video tomorrow where it's just me talking about the real ship and some of the stuff that you may or may not know. As Titanic's kind of the subject matter of the ship, not necessarily the movie. I like the movie, and I'll do my own review of it sometime. Might be one of these years on the anniversary of the disaster. I just have to wait and see. But the real ship is kind of an obsession of mine. I've read many books on it, and so I may do one more video tomorrow in observance of the anniversary of the sinking, in which I discuss the real ship and maybe share some facts and some stuff some of the more casual viewers didn't know. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and please consider subscribing to this channel. That's all I've got. So for now, this is Bob, signing off.